Welcome to the Create More Intimacy podcast. I'm Elisa Stoddard, and I help men stop chasing sex and start building real connection so they finally feel close, connected, and wanted again. Do you want your wife to change? Well, here's what actually works. Let's start with this. If I asked you what's not working in your relationship right now, what would you say? Most of the men I work with would answer with something like, "She's just not the same. She doesn't talk to me. She's always irritated. She's never affectionate unless I do everything perfectly. Or she shuts me out and I cannot win." I get it. You've probably tried different things, and you've probably tried staying calm when she's snapped, or you've backed off when she's cold. You've tried harder and you've kept the peace. You've done more at home with the kids and in the bedroom, and you're still not getting what you need. So, of course, the conclusion becomes, if she would just change, we would be okay. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. You can't change her. No matter how right you are, no matter how hard you try, you cannot force her to be softer, more affectionate, or more appreciative. But you can change the way you show up, and that changes everything. Let's be honest. What most couples call communication is really just coordination. It's who's picking up the kids. It's what time is the appointment. It's what's in the fridge and needs restocking. But real communication, the kind that builds intimacy and safety and emotional connection, that's probably been missing for a while. And when it does happen, if it happens, maybe it's tense. It's defensive, and it feels like there's a winner and a loser. It's either a minefield or a monologue. Sound familiar? I want to say this clearly because no one says it to men enough. You aren't the villain here. You were never taught how to do this. You weren't taught how to be emotionally open without being vulnerable to attack. You weren't taught how to sit in the discomfort without trying to fix it. You weren't taught that showing sadness or fear or confusion isn't weakness. So instead, you learn to manage, to avoid, to work harder, or to shut down. And now, here we are, years later, doing everything you thought would work, and it still feels like you're losing. I remember a night many years ago in my own marriage. It was late and we were both tired, and my husband said something, and honestly, I don't even remember what it was, but it landed wrong. It poked a bruise I didn't even know was there, and I got pissed, like disproportionately mad. I remember standing in the kitchen with my arms crossed, my back against the counter, not yelling, not even saying anything, just gone. He tried to fix it by saying, "Well, what do you want me to say?" Or making a joke, and he tried to guess what was wrong, and then he got frustrated and walked away. That moment has stayed with me, not because of what was said particularly, but because of what wasn't. It made me realize how often I'd done that to him. I'd checked out and I'd frozen and I'd built this awful wall, and how confused and hurtful that must have felt to him. That was a turning point for me, and not because I figured out how to never be activated like that again, but because I started to see what it looked like from the other side. I started asking myself, okay, what's happening in me when I react that way? What am I feeling when I'm so pissed I don't want to talk? And why is my first instinct to get mad? Those questions changed the way I approached everything in my marriage, quite honestly. So let me ask you some questions. It's just you and me here. Are you showing up emotionally? Or are you just showing up physically and logistically? Do you feel like your wife would describe you as open and steady, or reactive and avoidant? When she cries, do you hate it so much that you either shut down or you immediately start fixing her to get her to stop? When you feel hurt or rejected, do you actually say that part out loud? Or do you bury it under a joke or a long silence or some sarcastic comment? This is where the shift has to begin. Because right now, the dynamic between you two might be built on emotional avoidance. You're avoiding hard conversations. She's avoiding vulnerability with you. You're both bracing for each other, never really landing. And I want more for you than that. I want you to feel what it feels like to have a conversation that doesn't end in exhaustion or hurt feelings. To feel respected, to feel wanted, and to feel like you're actually working together instead of just surviving side by side. But you can't get there if you're waiting for her to go first. I want to give you some insight into some things that actually work, and it's simpler than you might think. It's not about being perfect, and it isn't about memorizing the right phrases or never raising your voice. It's not about becoming a different person per se. It's about becoming the real you again. The one that's been buried under all this pressure to show up as okay. It's about saying the hard things before it explodes. Asking questions to understand, not defend yourself. It's about staying in the moment when she's emotional instead of trying to escape it. Admitting when you are hurt without expecting her to fix it. Letting her see the version of you that isn't just strong, but honest and flawed and present and real. You know what I hear from men who do this work? They'll say things like, she started talking to me differently, or she leaned in, or she looked at me kind of, sort of like she used to. And they tell me it's like magic. But it isn't magic, it's trust. It's safety, it's leadership. And it started with them. I want to offer an invitation. If you've been quietly hoping that she would change, if you've been waiting for her to soften, to notice your effort, to come closer, you got to start with you. Not because you're the problem, but because you're the only one who can actually change. And because when you change genuinely, deeply, emotionally, she often does too. Not because you made her change, but because she finally feels like it's safe to. If you don't know how to do that yet, that is okay. That's what I help men do every single day. We build a new foundation, not just a better mask. I'm not going to teach you how to hide it better. You don't have to keep carrying this load alone. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad you are. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. If something in this episode hit home, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more men find the support they need. And if you are ready to get help or take the next step, you'll find the link to book a free call in the show notes. I'll see you next time.